Love is not just an emotion, but a long journey full of challenges, learning, and growth. But do we really understand love, or are we just vague with ups and downs? Have you ever wondered why some relationships, no matter how strong they seem at the beginning, eventually lose their spark? It's not always because of infidelity or a lack of love. Often, it's the small, everyday habits that quietly chip away at the foundation of connection and trust. The way we communicate, the way we invest in ourselves and each other, and the way we navigate challenges can either build a lasting bond or slowly push a partner away. Let's uncover the hidden habits that make men lose interest, and more importantly, how to break them before they break your relationship. Welcome to the channel, Sophia's Knowledge, and my name is Sophia. This is where we explore real stories, profound lessons, and valuable experiences about love. Today, in this video, Sophia will share with you 6 habits that make men easily lose their inspiration in long-term relationships. If you have ever wondered about questions about love, don't skip this video. For the best experience, find a quiet place, put on your headphones and let yourself completely listen to what I am about to share. Relax, and let everything flow away. Let's find out with Sophia the secrets to help you live more fully in each relationship. Let's get started together. Habit 1. Always controlling everything too much. When it comes to relationships, a little bit of care and concern can go a long way in building trust and intimacy. But there's a fine line between caring and controlling, and crossing that line can often spell trouble. One of the most common habits that can make a man lose interest in a long-term relationship is the tendency to control everything too much. At the beginning of a relationship, this behavior might seem harmless or even caring. You might think you're simply looking out for him, asking where he's going, who he's with, or what time he'll be home. But over time, this constant need to oversee and manage every detail of his life can transform from a gesture of love into a source of frustration and resentment. Controlling behavior often stems from insecurity or a deep-seated fear of losing the relationship. It can manifest in many forms. Checking his phone, questioning his every move, telling him how to dress, advising him on which friends to keep and which ones to avoid, or even criticizing his choices at work. While you may genuinely believe you're helping him make better decisions, the truth is that this level of control strips him of his independence and identity. Men, like women, crave respect and autonomy. When they feel micromanaged, they begin to feel suffocated. Instead of seeing you as a supportive partner, they start seeing you as an obstacle to their freedom. They might begin to hide things from you or withdraw emotionally to protect their sense of self. Over time, this creates distance in the relationship, and the emotional connection that once felt strong can weaken. Another problem with controlling behavior is that it signals a lack of trust. Every time you question his decisions or try to dictate his actions, you're sending the message that you don't trust him to handle his own life. This can be incredibly demoralizing for a man who wants to feel respected and valued. Trust is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and once it's eroded, it's difficult to rebuild. Controlling everything too much also takes the spontaneity and excitement out of the relationship. A man might begin to feel like he's living under a microscope, where every word and action is being analyzed and judged. This constant pressure can make him lose the desire to share his thoughts and feelings openly. After all, why bother if everything he does will be scrutinized or second-guessed? It's important to remember that relationships thrive when both partners feel free to be themselves. Mutual respect and healthy boundaries allow a couple to grow individually and together. When one partner tries to control every aspect of the other's life, it stifles that growth. Instead of feeling loved and appreciated, the man might feel like he's constantly walking on eggshells, trying to avoid conflict or criticism. If you find yourself falling into this habit, it's crucial to take a step back and reflect on why you feel the need to control so much. Is it fear of abandonment? A lack of self-confidence? Or perhaps past experiences that made you feel unsafe? Understanding the root cause of your controlling tendencies is the first step toward changing them. Start by practicing self-awareness. When you feel the urge to control, whether it's telling him what to do, questioning his choices, or expecting him to report every move, pause and ask yourself, is this really necessary? Am I projecting my insecurities onto him? Could this be damaging our relationship? Communication is also key. Instead of controlling, focus on expressing your feelings honestly and respectfully. For example, instead of saying, "I don't like that you go out with your friends every weekend," try saying, "I sometimes feel left out when you spend so much time away. I'd love it if we could plan some special time together too." This approach invites understanding and collaboration, rather than putting him on the defensive. Additionally, remind yourself that he's an individual with his own thoughts, feelings, and needs. Give him the space to make his own decisions and learn from his own mistakes. Support him, but don't try to mold him into someone he's not. Healthy relationships are built on acceptance, not control. It's also important to work on your own self-esteem. Often, the need to control arises from a fear that you're not enough on your own, that if you let go, he might find someone better. But true confidence comes from knowing that you bring unique value to the relationship and that you don't need to micromanage everything to keep his love. In the end, controlling everything too much is a habit that can erode even the strongest bonds. It creates an environment of tension and resentment that leaves little room for genuine connection. By learning to let go and trust both yourself and your partner, you create a space where love can thrive naturally. Remember, the healthiest relationships are those where both people feel free to be their authentic selves, knowing they are accepted and valued for who they are. If you found this video helpful, please share it with your friends or family to spread the value. And if you have any questions or ideas, leave them in the comments. I'm always listening and ready to answer. Let's continue together. Habit 2. Lack of emotional sharing. One of the most powerful ways to build and sustain a meaningful relationship is through emotional sharing, the ability to open up, express feelings, and connect on a deeper level. Yet, ironically, one of the most common habits that quietly erodes intimacy over time is the lack of emotional sharing. When one partner consistently withholds their emotions or struggles to express their feelings, it creates an invisible wall that separates them from the person they love. At the beginning of a relationship, conversations often flow easily. Both partners are excited to learn about each other's dreams, fears, past experiences, and hopes for the future. These exchanges build trust and a sense of closeness. But as time passes, some individuals, often due to past hurt, fear of vulnerability, or a simple lack of habit, begin to close themselves off. They may respond with "I'm fine" when asked how they're feeling, deflect meaningful conversations with humor or sarcasm, or simply remain silent when emotions run high. For a man in a relationship, this lack of emotional sharing from his partner can be incredibly frustrating. Contrary to the old stereotype that men prefer stoicism and indifference, most men genuinely crave a partner who is open, expressive, and willing to let him in. Emotional sharing is how a man knows what's going on in your heart and mind. It's how he learns to understand you, to support you, and to feel like he's truly part of your life. When emotional sharing is absent, the relationship can start to feel shallow. A man might sense that his partner is hiding something or doesn't trust him enough to share her inner world. This can lead to feelings of distance, confusion, and ultimately, a loss of emotional investment. A man who feels shut out may begin to pull away himself, retreating into his own world where he feels safer and less vulnerable. Another problem with not sharing your emotions is that it prevents genuine conflict resolution. Every relationship faces challenges. Disagreements, misunderstandings, moments of disappointment. Without open emotional sharing, these issues can fester and grow. Instead of addressing problems directly, partners might bottle up their feelings, leading to resentment, passive-aggressive behavior, or even explosive arguments later on. A man who doesn't feel emotionally connected may decide it's easier to detach than to fight a battle he can't see. Moreover, a lack of emotional sharing often creates an imbalance in the relationship. If one partner is always the one sharing, while the other remains guarded, the dynamic can feel one-sided. The person who shares may begin to feel unsupported, unimportant, or even judged for being too emotional. Meanwhile, the one who withholds feelings might think they're protecting themselves or maintaining strength, but they're actually building a barrier that keeps true intimacy out. It's important to recognize that emotional sharing doesn't mean overwhelming your partner with every fleeting feeling or worry. Rather, it's about being willing to let your partner see your authentic self, your joys, your fears, your insecurities, and your dreams. It's about saying, "This is who I am, and I trust you enough to share it with you." For women who struggle with emotional sharing, the root cause often lies in fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being rejected, or fear of appearing weak. Sometimes it's simply a learned behavior from a family environment where emotions were downplayed or dismissed. But holding back feelings to avoid conflict or rejection actually creates the very distance you fear. If you find yourself in this habit, start by acknowledging that vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. It takes courage to share your true feelings and to trust someone with your heart. Begin small. Share a little about your day, your worries, or something that made you happy. Notice how your partner responds. Chances are, he'll appreciate the openness and feel closer to you because of it. Communication is key here. Instead of brushing things off with "I'm fine," try being honest. "I'm feeling a little overwhelmed today," or "I've been thinking a lot about something that happened, and I'd love to talk about it." These simple statements open the door for connection and support. It's also important to create a safe space for emotional sharing in your relationship. Let your partner know that you appreciate his support and that you're working on being more open. Encourage him to share his feelings too. Mutual vulnerability builds trust, deepens intimacy, and makes a relationship feel like a true partnership. Remember that men, too, want to feel needed and trusted. When you share your emotions, you're not burdening him, you're inviting him into your world. You're showing him that his presence matters, that his love and support make a difference. This sense of purpose and connection is often what keeps a man invested in a relationship for the long haul. In the end, lack of emotional sharing may seem like a small habit, but it can have a profound impact on your relationship. By embracing vulnerability and letting your partner in, you create a space where love can flourish, where both of you can grow together, and where the bond between you becomes unbreakable. Emotional sharing is the bridge that transforms a relationship from superficial to soulful. Don't be afraid to cross it. If you are still watching the video, do not hesitate to comment "Continue." Leave your thoughts and questions below in the comment section. I look forward to hearing your opinions, and do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel so that Sophia has more motivation to create more good and meaningful videos. Let's continue together. Habit 3. Being too dependent on him. At the heart of every healthy and thriving relationship lies a delicate balance between closeness and independence. When two people come together, it's natural and even beautiful to lean on each other for support, comfort, and companionship. However, when one partner becomes too dependent on the other, emotionally, mentally, or even financially, it can quickly shift the dynamic in a way that drains the excitement and passion from the relationship. For many men, a partner's excessive dependence can feel suffocating, ultimately pushing him away rather than drawing him closer. In the early stages of love, dependency might seem sweet. The desire to be with him all the time, to seek his advice on every decision, to rely on his validation to feel good about yourself, these might all appear as signs of deep affection and commitment. But as time goes on, this dependence can become a heavy burden, transforming what should be a partnership into a caretaker dynamic. Men naturally want to feel needed in a relationship, but they also want a partner who stands confidently on her own. When a woman constantly looks to her partner to fulfill all her needs, whether it's emotional reassurance, decision-making, or self-worth, it can create an imbalance. Instead of feeling like an equal partner, he may feel like he's carrying the weight of both lives on his shoulders. Over time, this can breed resentment and fatigue, leading him to emotionally withdraw or even physically distance himself from the relationship. One of the biggest problems with being too dependent is that it often stifles your own growth. When every decision, every feeling of happiness or sadness, and every sense of identity is tied to another person, you lose the opportunity to develop your own strengths, passions, and resilience. A man who sees his partner constantly leaning on him for everything may start to feel like she lacks the independence and confidence that initially attracted him. Moreover, excessive dependence can also manifest as jealousy or possessiveness. When you rely on your partner for your entire emotional well-being, even the smallest perceived threat, like him spending time with friends or focusing on his career, can feel like a betrayal. This insecurity often leads to controlling behaviors, frequent arguments, and a sense of never being enough, both for you and for him. The man in this dynamic might begin to feel like he's constantly walking on eggshells, trying to meet expectations that feel impossible to satisfy. Another challenge of being too dependent is that it places an unfair burden on the relationship itself. No one person can be everything to another: a best friend, a therapist, a cheerleader, a life coach, and a romantic partner all at once. Relationships thrive when both people have a sense of individuality, with their own interests, hobbies, and support systems. When that balance is lost, the relationship can feel like a prison rather than a partnership. If you recognize this pattern in yourself, it's important to take a step back and reflect on why you might be leaning so heavily on your partner. Often, this behavior stems from deeper insecurities, fear of abandonment, low self-esteem, or a lack of confidence in your ability to stand on your own. By understanding where your dependence comes from, you can begin the process of healing and growth that will ultimately strengthen both yourself and the relationship. Start by nurturing your own identity. Reconnect with the passions and interests that make you who you are outside of the relationship. Whether it's pursuing a career goal, rekindling a favorite hobby, spending time with friends and family, or simply setting aside time for self-care, these activities not only enrich your life but also make you a more attractive partner. A man who sees you thriving independently will admire your strength and feel drawn to your confidence. Additionally, work on building your emotional resilience. Learn to validate your own feelings, make decisions confidently, and face challenges without always seeking external approval. This doesn't mean shutting your partner out. It means cultivating a sense of self-trust that allows you to bring your best self to the relationship. It's also important to communicate openly with your partner about your needs and insecurities. Let him know you're working on becoming more independent because you value the relationship and want it to be healthy and strong. A supportive partner will respect and encourage your journey, and together, you can build a bond that is based on mutual respect rather than dependency. Remember, a relationship is most fulfilling when both partners feel they are contributing to each other's lives, not completing them. True love grows when each person is strong and whole on their own, choosing to share that strength and wholeness with the other. By breaking the habit of excessive dependence, you open the door to a relationship that is rooted in freedom, passion, and authentic connection. In the end, being too dependent on him can turn even the most promising relationship into a burden. By learning to stand on your own 2 feet, you not only reclaim your own power but also give him the space to love you for the independent, vibrant, and unique person you truly are. A relationship built on mutual respect and shared strength will always outshine one built on dependency and need. Habit 4. Constant complaining and criticizing. Every relationship has its ups and downs, and open communication is the key to resolving conflicts and maintaining a strong bond. However, there's a world of difference between healthy communication and constant complaining and criticizing. When a woman falls into the habit of consistently pointing out what's wrong or what's lacking, instead of focusing on what's right and showing appreciation, it can quickly sap the joy and warmth out of the relationship, leaving the man feeling unappreciated, inadequate, and ultimately disinterested. In the beginning, a man may be more tolerant of occasional complaints, seeing them as opportunities to learn and grow together. After all, relationships require compromise and adjustment. But when the complaints become a daily occurrence, when every small issue is met with criticism, and when negativity overshadows the positive aspects of the relationship, it creates a toxic dynamic that's hard to sustain. Men, like anyone else, want to feel valued and respected in a relationship. They want to know that their efforts, big and small, are noticed and appreciated. When a woman consistently complains about his job, his friends, his habits, or even trivial things like how he loads the dishwasher, he starts to feel like he can never measure up. This constant criticism chips away at his confidence and sense of worth. Instead of feeling like a cherished partner, he feels like a perpetual disappointment. The problem with constant complaining is that it often shifts the focus of the relationship from collaboration to competition. Instead of working together to solve problems, it becomes about who's right and who's wrong, who's at fault and who's to blame. This adversarial mindset can lead to defensiveness, arguments, and emotional withdrawal. A man might start to tune out, thinking, no matter what I do, it's never good enough. Over time, this can erode the foundation of trust and affection that once held the relationship together. Moreover, when a woman criticizes too often, even with the best intentions, it can come across as controlling or demeaning. It sends the message that she doesn't believe in his ability to make decisions or handle situations on his own. This lack of respect undermines the partnership and makes the man feel like he's constantly under a microscope. Instead of feeling like an equal partner, he might feel like a child being scolded. It's important to recognize that constant complaining isn't just about the words you say, it's about the tone, the timing, and the frequency. Even small comments, when repeated often enough, can feel like a relentless tide of negativity. A simple "why didn't you do that?" or "can't you ever get it right?" might seem harmless in the moment, but over time, these remarks build up and create an atmosphere of criticism and disapproval. So why do people fall into this habit? Often, it's because they feel unheard or unappreciated themselves. Complaining can be a way to express frustration or to seek validation. But when it becomes the default mode of communication, it drives a wedge between partners instead of bringing them closer together. If you recognize yourself in this pattern, know that you're not alone, and it's something that can be changed. The first step is to become aware of how often you criticize or complain. Keep a mental note, or even write it down, every time you find yourself making a negative comment. You might be surprised at how frequently it happens. Once you've built this awareness, start to shift your focus to what's going right. Make a conscious effort to express appreciation for the things your partner does well, even the small ones. A simple "thank you for taking care of that" or "I really appreciate how hard you work" can go a long way in balancing out the negative comments. When an issue does need to be addressed, choose your words carefully. Instead of framing it as a criticism, "you never help around the house," try expressing it as a feeling and a request. "I feel overwhelmed with the chores, and I'd really appreciate your help." This approach invites collaboration rather than defensiveness. Also, pay attention to your tone of voice and body language. Sarcasm, eye-rolling, or a harsh tone can make even the mildest comment sound like a personal attack. A calm, respectful tone conveys that you're coming from a place of love and concern, not anger or contempt. Remember, no one is perfect, not you, not your partner. Expecting perfection sets both of you up for disappointment. Instead, embrace the imperfections as part of what makes each of you human. Celebrate your partner's strengths and be willing to overlook the small flaws that don't truly matter. In the end, constant complaining and criticizing may seem like a way to improve the relationship, but in reality, it often drives partners apart. By replacing criticism with appreciation, focusing on solutions instead of blame, and treating your partner with respect and kindness, you create a space where love can thrive. A relationship built on mutual support and encouragement is far more likely to stand the test of time than one built on constant negativity. Habit 5. Lack of novelty and not refreshing oneself. One of the most overlooked yet significant habits that can make a man lose interest in a long-term relationship is the lack of novelty, both in the relationship itself and in a woman's personal growth. It's easy to settle into routines and let comfort take over, but when a relationship becomes too predictable and one or both partners stop investing in themselves, it can quickly lead to a loss of excitement and passion. At the beginning of a relationship, everything feels fresh and exciting. You're learning about each other, discovering new things, and sharing experiences that make you feel alive. But as time passes, life's responsibilities, work, bills, family obligations, begin to creep in, and the thrill that once defined the relationship can slowly fade. When a woman stops making an effort to grow, to explore, or to bring new energy into the relationship, it can leave a man feeling as though he's stuck in a never-ending loop of sameness. Men are naturally drawn to novelty and variety. This doesn't mean they need constant external stimulation or that they expect a partner to be someone else entirely. Rather, they crave a relationship that evolves, grows, and keeps them engaged. When a woman becomes too comfortable with the status quo, wearing the same clothes, doing the same activities, talking about the same things, it can create an atmosphere of stagnation. This isn't about superficial beauty or expensive adventures, it's about the energy and curiosity that keep both partners interested and invested. A lack of novelty in a woman's personal life can also contribute to the problem. When she stops pursuing her passions, developing new skills, or expanding her horizons, she can become less interesting. Not just to him, but to herself. A woman who is always growing and evolving is naturally more attractive because she brings fresh perspectives and experiences to the relationship. She's like a book with new chapters being written all the time, rather than one that's been read cover to cover and left on the shelf. This doesn't mean you need to reinvent yourself completely or become someone you're not. It's about staying curious and engaged with life. Trying a new hobby, learning a language, taking a dance class, or simply reading a thought-provoking book can all bring new energy into your world, and by extension, into your relationship. When a man sees that his partner is passionate about life and continues to grow, he feels inspired and excited to share that journey with her. Another consequence of a lack of novelty is that it often leads to emotional complacency. When you stop putting in effort to surprise him, to create special moments, or to keep the relationship fun and dynamic, it sends the message that you're no longer investing in the connection. Even small gestures, a spontaneous date night, a handwritten note, or an unexpected compliment, can reignite the spark and remind him why he fell in love with you in the first place. Men often say that what keeps them attracted to a woman over the long term is her ability to remain both familiar and surprising. They love the comfort of knowing her deeply, but they also crave the occasional reminder that she's full of surprises. This balance keeps the relationship from becoming stale and keeps him curious and invested. If you recognize this habit in yourself, the first step is to acknowledge it without judgment. Life gets busy, and routines are a natural part of any long-term relationship. But that doesn't mean you have to accept monotony as the norm. Take some time to reflect on the things that once made you feel vibrant and alive. Are there hobbies or interests you've set aside? Are there dreams you postponed because life got in the way? Start by reintroducing small changes into your life. Even a new hairstyle, a different type of workout, or a weekend getaway can shift your energy and bring a fresh perspective. Talk to your partner about trying new experiences together, a cooking class, a hike, a weekend road trip. Sharing new adventures builds memories and deepens the connection between you. Equally important is to nurture your own sense of self. Continue learning, growing, and expanding your world, not just for the relationship, but for yourself. When you feel excited and fulfilled on your own, you bring that positive energy back into the relationship. A man who sees his partner thriving and passionate about life is more likely to stay engaged and committed. Remember, novelty doesn't have to mean constant change or drama. It's about keeping the relationship dynamic and evolving, just as you are. Celebrate the comfort and familiarity you've built together, but don't let it turn into complacency. Keep finding ways to surprise him and yourself with new ideas, experiences, and moments of joy. In the end, a relationship without novelty can feel like a story that's already been told. But when both partners continue to invest in themselves and each other, they write new chapters together, chapters full of growth, excitement, and lasting love. Habit 6. No longer caring about his needs and feelings. One of the most powerful yet often overlooked habits that can slowly erode a man's interest in a long-term relationship is when his partner stops caring about his needs and feelings. At the beginning of a relationship, both partners typically make an effort to understand each other, to listen, and to nurture a sense of closeness. But over time, as life's demands take over and routines become established, it's easy to slip into the habit of prioritizing your own needs while neglecting his. This subtle shift can transform a once vibrant relationship into a cold and disconnected one. In the early days of love, you may have hung on his every word, eager to learn about his passions, dreams, and worries. You probably asked questions, listened intently, and made him feel like his thoughts and feelings mattered. This kind of attention creates a strong emotional bond and makes a man feel valued and appreciated. But when that attention fades, when you stop asking how his day was, or dismiss his concerns with a quick "you'll be fine," he can start to feel invisible in the relationship. Men, like women, want to feel heard and understood. They may not always be as verbal about their emotions, but that doesn't mean they don't need emotional support. When a woman no longer cares about what's going on in his heart and mind, he may begin to question his place in her life. Is he just a provider? A roommate? A background character in her story? This lack of interest can make him feel lonely, even when you're in the same room. A relationship is a partnership, a space where both people feel safe to express themselves, to share their struggles, and to celebrate their triumphs. When a woman stops paying attention to her partner's needs, it sends a message that she's no longer invested in the relationship's growth. Maybe she's too focused on her own problems, too busy with work, or simply taking his presence for granted. Whatever the reason, the effect is the same: he feels disconnected and unappreciated. One of the most damaging aspects of this habit is that it often happens gradually. It's not usually about one big fight or one dramatic betrayal. Instead, it's a slow erosion of empathy and attention. It's the small things, not asking how he's feeling when he seems down, dismissing his ideas or worries, or focusing only on your own perspective during disagreements. Over time, these small slights add up, creating an emotional distance that's hard to bridge. Another problem is that when a woman stops caring about his feelings, she may also stop showing appreciation for the things he does. Whether it's working hard to provide, taking care of household tasks, or making small gestures of love, a man wants to know that his efforts are noticed and valued. When his contributions go unacknowledged, he may begin to feel taken for granted, like he's just going through the motions without any real connection or reward. So why does this habit develop? Often, it's unintentional. Life gets busy, and it's easy to get caught up in your own challenges and forget that your partner is facing his own. Sometimes, past hurts or unresolved conflicts can make you less willing to be emotionally available. Or maybe you've simply fallen into a routine where you assume he's fine because he doesn't talk about his feelings as openly as you do. If you recognize this pattern in yourself, it's important to make a conscious effort to change. Start by reminding yourself that he has emotional needs just like you do. Even if he doesn't always express them, they are there, and they matter. Make it a habit to check in with him regularly, ask about his day, his stress levels, his goals, and his worries. Listen without interrupting, and let him know you genuinely care. Show appreciation for the things he does, both big and small. A simple thank you can go a long way in making him feel valued. When disagreements arise, try to see things from his perspective, not just your own. Acknowledge his feelings, even if you don't always agree with them. Sometimes, just knowing that you're willing to listen and understand is enough to keep the connection strong. It's also important to create space for him to share. Some men need time to process their emotions before they talk about them. Be patient and let him know you're there when he's ready. Avoid dismissive comments like, "just get over it" or "you're overreacting." These can shut down communication and make him feel like his feelings don't matter. Remember that caring about his needs and feelings isn't about putting his emotions above your own. It's about creating a partnership where both of you feel heard, valued, and supported. When you show him that his feelings matter, you build trust and deepen the emotional bond between you. In the end, a relationship where one partner stops caring about the other's needs is a relationship on shaky ground. But with effort, empathy, and intentionality, you can rebuild that connection and remind him why he fell in love with you in the first place. By nurturing his emotional world, you open the door to a stronger, more lasting love that can weather any storm. Conclusion. A relationship is a living, breathing bond that requires ongoing care, effort, and understanding from both partners. The 6 habits explored, controlling too much, lack of emotional sharing, overdependence, constant complaining, loss of novelty, and neglecting his needs, are silent relationship killers that, if left unchecked, can slowly drain the love and passion from even the strongest of connections. Recognizing these habits is not about assigning blame. It's about taking responsibility for your own role in maintaining a fulfilling partnership. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual respect, empathy, and a willingness to grow individually and together. When you learn to let go of excessive control, open your heart to emotional sharing, and embrace your own independence, you create space for genuine connection. When you trade constant criticism for appreciation and bring fresh energy into the relationship, you remind both yourself and your partner why you chose each other in the first place. And by showing consistent care for his needs and feelings, you build a foundation of trust and intimacy that lasts. Love is not just a feeling, it's a series of choices, daily acts of kindness, empathy, and curiosity that keep the relationship vibrant and strong. It's about celebrating each other's uniqueness while growing as individuals. When you invest in breaking these destructive habits and replace them with healthy ones, you pave the way for a love story that doesn't just survive the test of time but flourishes with every passing year. Remember, a successful relationship is a partnership built on understanding, patience, and a deep commitment to seeing each other thrive. By transforming these habits, you are not only saving your relationship but also building a happier, more fulfilling life for both of you. So that concludes today's video. Thank you for taking the time to watch until the end. I hope you found some valuable lessons and that these shares will help you on your love journey. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting content in the future. I appreciate your support and I'll see you in the next videos. Wishing you love and happiness.